Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. It's time to review The Trial of the Chicago 7. This is a major awards Oscar player. This is an Aaron Sorkin script. It's in development for a long time until he finally decided to take the reins himself. And now he's in the director's chair. This is the true story of the Chicago 7, who were tried on charges of attempting to incite violence against police after a clash between police and protesters that occurred in Chicago during a Vietnam War protest in the 60s.
What was interesting, which I read after the film, I don't know if this is in the film and I was just dumb and missed it. It might have been in the first minute of the movie and I walked in late. The trial actually took place because there were 8 police officers who were indicted for what was later deemed a police riot. And so the other side, whatever that might be, wanted to just make the protesters look like they were the bad ones. And so they put 8 people on a jury. It later became 7 for reasons that you'll find out in the film, which is pretty interesting. Strikingly relevant, because the conversation we're having today is, are the police the ones instigating violence, or is it the civilians?
This project was in development even before Ferguson happened. Nobody in development could have predicted that this would be so relevant to this date.
Even more relevant like in 2020 than it would have been in 2019.
It definitely makes you think about like the way that we reflect on the protests of the 60s and 70s and think, is that how we're going to view our times now? Because it sure doesn't feel like we're looking at them that way because it's the present. Movies like this can help contextualize that.
The thing I took away the most about the film is there's this question of whether this trial is like political or not. And on one hand, it's like, we have to prove that we didn't commit this crime, that we're not responsible for the riots. And the other side is like, we're on trial because politics. Like, there were 8 officers and then they just threw us on there because we are supposedly leaving the movement. They want to portray us as being criminals. They want to portray it as though there's like something to indict on the public who are protesting Vietnam. The revelation of the film is kind of obvious, like which way you end up seeing it by the end. But it definitely makes you look at today and be like, what's not political? It's kind of sad. It's like pretty gross. Where the movie lands on that issue is really like what the film's about, what we're going to take away from it.
I thought this was kind of riveting. As you can expect with an Aaron Sorkin film, you've got that snappy, fast dialogue. I think he does a really good job, not just packing in dialogue for dialogue's sake, but making quick, sharp points in this dialogue and also interjecting moments that reveal things about the characters as we're kind of flying through it, which is great because there's so many different characters. I was kind of worried that we wouldn't come to care enough about any of them.
I agree. The whole film was like very entertaining. I didn't like check my watch once. I don't have a watch and I don't actually like check the time when I watch movies. And some people say the beginning is slow. Like I didn't see that at all. This is a dialogue driven, surprise, surprise, courtroom drama primarily with cutaways to some of the incidents that happened. And I think like a lot of the aim of the dialogue is to convey an idea in as like quickly and concisely as possible while also being like kind of quippy and funny. That style of writing from Aaron Sorkin leads some people to accuse him of like not, capturing the way that people talk or of being like too manufactured. And that's like true, but it's also just kind of how the film is. So it's clever in the way that these like lines are shaped, but it's obvious. It's giving you what to think about these things. And some people are criticizing the movie for that. Sometimes that works. Often with these like true life stories that you just want to like tell, you just want to give people information and you want to like honor, a clear hero in a story. I think the treatment was fine. I didn't really have a problem with that. And a lot of people are going to like it. It's going to be able to reach a large audience and it had memorable characters. I definitely enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself while watching this movie. A little treat for me. No, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, you couldn't watch the movie without a self.
I wasn't enjoying myself.
You were enjoying the experience that yourself was having.
I transcend myself and I have experiences. I am the experience.
So, well, not everybody's that good. I gotta say, the ensemble here is just great. Every cast member brings, their own light, their own color into this movie. And this is definitely going to be one of those movies where people have different takeaways of who they think is the best. If you ask me who the best was, I couldn't give you an answer without naming like 4 people or more. Everybody is fantastic in this. There are some people who I think will be more likely to get nominated and stuff. We'll get to that.
You strap in. We know you want to know. Get to that.
But yeah, that's definitely one of the pleasures of this movie. It's a good time, but it's also a movie that's going to make you angry. There's a moment towards the middle that's a little disturbing to watch. But yeah, I mean, it'll get your emotions riled up when it wants to. I think Aaron Sorkin as a director, he is not subtle about like what he wants you to feel and when he wants you to feel it. And Daniel Pemberton's score for that reason is going to work really well for some people and not so well for others because it's kind of heavy-handed. This is just one of those movies that I was just really on board with. It was giving me a lot to enjoy, and therefore I wasn't like nitpicking it while I was watching it. Like, for example, Jojo Rabbit, a little more divisive with the critics. I was one of the people that was just able to enjoy that movie. In some ways, I do fancy myself like an Oscar voter in that way. There are some movies where, like, if you give me Oscar bait, I will just enjoy it.
You just take it for what it is, and you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, most audiences are gonna love this movie because it has those stand-up and cheer moments. And I think they are earned because while you could say it's like sort of manufactured, like Aaron Sorkin is always clever and everything about the movie was pretty well done. I don't think visually it was like the most amazing thing, but you know, nonetheless, like I think it does earn the emotional highs that it gives you.
The camera work or cinematography is like not the reason to like seek out the film. Like it's good, it's competent. Really, you're going for like the writing and the performances. Aaron Sorkin's direction is not showy. That's just the kind of film it is. So will Sorkin be nominated for director for more of like an Invisible style movie? I mean, let's just get this out of the way. I left the movie thinking this could win Best Picture. You know, if you look at other Best Picture winners, like they have the same kind of elevated, good feeling walking out of it. They are important, telling good stories with great performances. It could win Best Picture. Therefore, Aaron Sorkin could get nominated for Best Director. But I think he might not. Even if it does win, it could be like a Green Book or Three Billboards or Argo situation. If it doesn't win, I get it. But
we understand that. We just want to make sure you don't think that we're dumb and making mistakes.
Where like a top tier contender is not nominated for director. Right. As like an individual achievement, I don't think the achievement is the direction necessarily.
But yeah, in a way, it kind of has to be on your list because it is the bait.
Yeah, right? Like it'll get a DGA nomination.
Yeah, the Oscars are the weird ones who would snub him and not the other people. So if he gets snubbed, we're not going to see it coming. I want to speak about my own experience with just knowing when movies are like Best Picture-ish.
You're going to speak about this until you're wrong.
And last year, that was the thing. I was like, I didn't feel it with 1917 in Hollywood. I loved Parasite, though. When I watch a Best Picture winner, I feel like, oh, like there you go. We talked about when the Green Book year, how the awards voters were just leaving Green Book on a high. You will leave this movie on a high because it has a great, powerful Oscar bait ending. You know, the same vibes I got like after watching a movie like Argo. It's like, yeah, that could win Best Picture. My goodness, it could.
Also, find me a more relevant movie this year. We might have some films that are touching on racial issues like Ma Rainey or One Night in Miami or Billie Holiday. But in terms of capturing the moment, Chicago 7 might be like the film that does it. It's like almost eerily true.
And why does that matter? I think the Oscar voters have voted for movies in the past 4 years specifically that feel to some like movies of the moment. And yes, Green Book, I think to some felt like a movie that could solve racism. You know what I'm saying? Look at Moonlight versus La La Land. Like that was the epitome of that. La La Land was great, but it wasn't like an important movie for the times. And even Parasite, like that was a movie of the moment. Absolutely. 1917, not so much.
Part of an Oscar campaign is crafting a narrative for a film. It's like, how do we build the float for this movie? You can slap on like a ton of bumper stickers that have to do with this moment, and then you can put like the entire ensemble at the top. Everybody's waving. This film will have absolutely no trouble in crafting like that narrative of why it's this year's Best Picture winner. Again, we don't know what's coming out, but we already have like 2 really strong contenders that both could win, Nomadland and this. I just need to know how the audiences are going to respond to this. What's the IMDb score going to be? Like that's the kind of stuff that I also want to know.
I have a hard time imagining audiences won't like it because it's that stand-up and cheer entertaining kind of movie. And what else does this have going for it? Well, it's probably going to fucking win SAG Ensemble. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Screenplay, like, it could easily win screenplay as part of winning picture.
Yeah.
And it can also really easily win editing. Argo got all those 3 of those, and Argo was sort of a similar sort of movie to win Best Picture. This movie could get a little frontrunner fatigue though, because it's going to, right now it's like, oh, this is the frontrunner, this could win. And it's going to be that way until something else perhaps comes along.
I don't know if people think this is the frontrunner right now though. I think people think it's Nomadland.
Yeah, I guess
I
maybe.
believe people think it's Nomadland right now. This is a movie that you're
popping
your pop and your mom pop will like. There's some critics who seem to be like a little underwhelmed by it. A lot of people saying they wanted the film to be messier, which I do understand that. I can understand if you felt like some of the great parts of this story were taken out for the sake of this movie, because it definitely felt that way where I was like, wait, this was said in the courtroom, that was said in the courtroom, that's almost like bigger than something that happened in the movie. Like I'm almost surprised that it didn't happen that way, but I don't know if that's like kind of where that comes from, is wishing that the film were a little bit scrappier.
I mean, Aaron Sorkin at this point like should be known for really messing with true stories. Like The Social Network, he had like a girlfriend during the entire time that happened. Like Steve Jobs, like that didn't happen. But
yeah,
I really like those movies too. But
the actual ending of this film like didn't happen, which is so funny.
It's kind of sad. It's like, oh man, like I really wanted that to happen.
Yeah, you could do a whole video based on what was different from the real story and the Sorkinized version. And it's pretty fascinating. And it's also like a good lesson in why he might choose to like make, you know, this thing happen at this moment versus this moment.
We have to get into the supporting category. I think there's no way that they're not going to campaign every actor here in supporting. It's debatable that Eddie Redmayne, being the character who has the biggest arc, he might be the protagonist.
I think he's the
loosely,
protagonist,
but he's not like the main character. You know what I mean?
He has the biggest arc in the film, but there is no main character. It's about everybody at once.
And so this supporting category is going to be like an absolute shit show. For Spotlight, we thought Michael Keaton was like number one. He didn't get nominated. Ruffalo got nominated. Like insane shit like that is like just gonna happen this year, and we're not even ready for it. Most likely to get nominated here, and there could be 1 to 3 nominees, honestly. Probably Rylance.
Yeah,
probably
I would bet my money on that Rylance gets nominated over everybody else.
He's really good too. He's
really
easily
good.
a highlight. He has plenty of screen time.
He's very, very good.
He has moments.
Second most likely, I would say Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen is a little bit transformed, I guess you could say. He looks different. He has like a little bit of a voice. Like these things seem like trivial, but they're like not when it comes to getting an Oscar nomination.
Perhaps he's less transformed than he's been.
But I think people really like him, and I feel like they'd be happy to vote for him.
And his character's funny too. He has like the most funny lines in the movie, but also he has
serious moments.
Yeah, serious moments. He has a little bit of an ideological battle with Eddie Redmayne.
Number 3 is where I just don't really know at this point. There's a basket, and in the basket is Yahya Abdel-Mateen, who has less screen time, I think, than some of the other people I'm about to mention. But with what he's given, is very good.
I thought Yahya had like some of the best moments in the whole movie. He's in a little bit of a different like space than the other characters, and in that he like brings in something new. I thought he was really great. I would like to see him get nominated, and in my opinion, he would be like number 3 to get nominated.
You think that's pretty clear for you? It's like he's number 3.
I think he's the clear number 3. The fact that he won an Emmy, he's kind of like on this career high. He has a little bit of a narrative.
That definitely matters.
Yeah, it does.
Redmayne, I think, has a chance. I mean, as a character, he's not like goofy, but he has like depth to him, and he plays him really well. There are subtle things he's doing, like his voice is different in this film.
I honestly think that that's just him doing an American accent.
I think it was like, I kind of talk like that. Like, he had a little bit of a thing. Eddie Redmayne was really great in this, and it reminded me of how good of an actor he is. I know some people like to make fun of him for being in Jupiter Ascending. I don't know if he's like as nominatable as some other people, because he kind of is like a normal looking guy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The movie does end on him, which is important.
If they campaign someone in lead, it like could be him. He could potentially get, but that would be like, we're just literally like throwing you away so that we can just push other people up. So I don't think that's going to happen to anybody. So that wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, that'd be cruel, actually.
Langella, who plays the judge, who's very unlikable, pretty one-dimensional.
I had a harder time than others seeing him being a nomination performance, just because he's just in that judge's chair like the whole time. He's very good.
Yeah.
But I've heard others think that he's a highlight and he could get nominated. Where's Jeremy Strong? Because we got all the Succession fans in the comments saying, well, I thought he was on everybody's list. He went right down after this movie premiered. What happened? He's good in the movie. Like, you're going to be happy with his performance. I just think that his sort of hippie demeanor is most of what you get from the character.
He's Sacha Baron Cohen's sidekick, really. We could see a shit show situation happen where they snub someone who's getting nominated everywhere at the last second, or they nominate someone that hasn't been nominated anywhere out of nowhere, like in Nocturnal Animals.
No,
Michael Shannon gets nominated where like Aaron Taylor Johnson won the Golden Globe where he wasn't even nominated.
The SAGs are gonna fuck it all up too. The SAGs are gonna do something fucking weird, and we're not gonna know what's
And
happening.
some places will nominate like 3 people, okay? There's gonna be one awards body at least that nominates like 3 of the members of the cast. Other places might go with like 1 or maybe 2. It's gonna be a shit show, okay?
Picture, director, screenplay, editing, supporting. We also have an original song that plays over the credits. That seems sort of likely to happen. Score is a maybe. I like the score, but I didn't think it was like Steve Jobs level shit from Daniel Pemberton. I don't think it's going to get a sound nomination.
So like 6 or 7. 6 or 7.
The movie was absorbing, entertaining, fascinating to watch. Great writing, great editing. I don't know if I found it to be like deeply resonant, but it is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. I'd give this like a pretty strong 9 out of 10. And I wouldn't mind it winning Best Picture.
I would also go with a 9 on this one. I was just like very entertained, very down with it. And the ending like elevated it. Got a little choked up. How can you not?
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
If you had to be on trial, who are the 7 people you'd take with you?